Hello.
I always thought I'd mastered the art of control. Every morning, I pulled on my tailored suits like armor, tied my chestnut hair into a sleek twist, and stared into the mirror until Jude Hartley, attorney at law, stared confidently back. Chicago's skyline was my cathedral, the courtroom, my sanctuary. There, logic reigned. There, I couldn't feel the things I had spent a lifetime burying. Love? That was for the foolish. For the younger version of me who once believed a boy named Roger could protect her from the world. He didn't. He left. And in his leaving, he carved something cold into me, something sharp I would never again let soften. Liam was the safe choice. He asked for my hand like it was a business proposal, not a promise. I agreed with equal calculation. We married. We had Adam. And I told myself, every day, that this was enough. But when Adam was 4 years old, I noticed it. That expression he made when he concentrated. The tilt of his head when he asked a question. My blood ran cold. Because it was Roger. My son had Roger's eyes. And suddenly, I couldn't breathe. As Adam grew, the resemblance didn't fade. It deepened. That same thoughtful gaze. That same boyish charm wrapped around a curious, too wise soul. It was beautiful. And terrifying. Because every time Adam looked at me, it felt like a ghost had returned from the past, not to haunt me, but to rewrite something that had never finished writing itself. And worse, his love for me was undeniable. Uncontainable. He followed me from room to room, even as a teenager, brushing kisses against my cheek, whispering things like, "You're the most beautiful woman in the world, Mom." He meant it. Not in the performative way sons are supposed to. He said it like a secret. Like a prayer. Liam noticed. He would watch Adam's embraces with narrowed eyes. "He loves you too much," he said once in bed, his voice laced with bitterness. I turned away. "He's affectionate." "No," Liam murmured, "he's yours. And you let him be." I didn't answer. Because I couldn't explain the feeling inside me, that warmth, that ache, that strange sense of being seen again. I had banished love. But now, it seemed, love had returned, quietly, insistently, through the shape of a son. Then came the day I walked into the house and found it empty. Or so I thought. "Adam." I called, slipping off my heels, briefcase in hand. Silence. I climbed the stairs, pausing outside his door when I noticed it was ajar. I didn't mean to look. But I did. He was lying on his bed in nothing but a towel, damp curls clinging to his forehead, skin flushed from a shower. In his hand, a photo. One of me. He was staring at it. I froze. The moment stretched, silent, forbidden, unbearable. Then I stepped back before he could see me. I went downstairs, heart thundering. Minutes later, Adam entered the kitchen, dressed and breathless. "You're home," he said, surprised. "I didn't hear you come in." I smiled carefully. "I just got here." He hugged me. His arms were warm. Familiar. He kissed my cheek again, just like always. "There's something weird going on," he said, pulling back. "Dad's been acting strange today." He was digging through the closet like he was packing something. Didn't say why. A chill brushed over me. "Packing?" Adam nodded. He looked done. "I don't know." That evening, Adam cooked over the fire pit in the backyard. Steak, his favorite. We made Aperol spritz, something frivolous, something that felt like summer and light. We laughed about a ridiculous TikTok he found, clinking glasses as if the world hadn't shifted beneath our feet. I don't remember what joke he made. I just remember the sound of our laughter echoing against the siding of the house. And then. Jude, a voice said from behind us. I turned. Liam. He stood in the yard with a single suitcase at his side, his eyes flat and distant. What's going on? I asked, rising. Liam, where are you? I'm leaving. My breath caught. What? I've fallen in love with someone else, he said simply. And you never loved me. Not really. You love Adam more than you've ever loved me. And he loves you in ways a husband should. The air shattered. I don't want to fight, Liam added, turning toward the gate. I just want to leave clean. You'll be fine without me. And he walked away. Adam stood frozen. I turned to him, dazed. Did you know about this? He shook his head, wide-eyed. And then, I saw Roger. In that moment, in the way Adam reached for me, concerned and tender, he was Roger. My Roger. Come back, reborn. I couldn't help it. I stepped into him and whispered, you won't leave me again, will you? His arms wrapped around me. I never left you, he murmured. And I never will. I closed my eyes. His embrace was everything I had been missing. Everything I had refused to feel. And somehow, impossibly, I knew, we had crossed into something we couldn't come back from. The first morning without Liam felt quiet. Not hollow. Not bruised. Just silent in a way that didn't ache. I stood by the kitchen counter, pouring coffee into 2 mugs, mine and Adam's, and wondered what that said about me. That I felt no rage, no loss. Only relief. As if a stone had finally been lifted from the middle of the room, and now we could all breathe. Adam shuffled in, shirt rumpled, hair tousled from sleep. Morning, he murmured, accepting the cup I handed him. Our fingers brushed. My breath caught, but I didn't flinch. You okay? He asked. I nodded. Are you? He sipped. Yeah. Actually, yeah. We stood there for a while, sipping coffee and listening to the radio play something soft and old. The kitchen, bathed in the pale glow of a sun not quite committed to rising, felt like a different place. Lighter. Want breakfast? I asked. Adam grinned. Only if you let me cook. He did. And when he brought it over, scrambled eggs, toast with fig jam, I laughed. You remember? Of course I do. Fig jam is sacred in this house. We sat and ate like it was any other day. But it wasn't. We both knew that. Later that evening, after the dishes were done and the house had settled into a kind of fragile peace, I poured us each a glass of wine. We sat in the den, him with his long legs stretched over the ottoman, me curled in the armchair. I don't remember how the conversation started. Only that it veered toward the past. You've never really talked about him, Adam said. I looked up. Who? The guy. The one who broke your heart. I froze. I remember, you told me once you were 18, he continued, his voice careful. That it was the last time you really let yourself love. I stared into my wineglass. Roger. Adam nodded. Was he, like me? I swallowed hard. Too much. Adam leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Is that why you look at me like that sometimes? Like you're remembering something you want to forget? No, I said, too quickly. Then softer, like I'm remembering something I can't let go. The silence swelled around us. I see him in you, I whispered. In the way you think. The way you look at me. It's like, I stopped. Pressed my lips together. It's like he came back, Adam finished, his voice barely audible. My heart clenched. Yes. He was quiet for a long time. Then, with that same unshakable steadiness he's had since childhood, he said, I've always felt something too. Since I was 17, maybe earlier. It's like something inside me just knew. I looked at him. Knew what? That I love you. Not the way I'm supposed to. Not just as a son. But something deeper. Something I can't unfeel. The air cracked. I should have stopped him. Should have told him this was wrong. That we couldn't talk like this. But I didn't. I've always wondered if you felt it too, he said. I didn't speak. And maybe silence is its own kind of answer. He stood, crossed the space between us, and knelt beside my chair. His hand reached for mine. Warm. Steady. Certain. I'd live with you forever if I could, he said, eyes searching mine. I don't want anyone else. I've never wanted anyone but you. I couldn't breathe. And then I whispered, I know. He rested his head against my knee. We stayed like that, tangled in a moment neither of us could explain, caught between memory and longing, the past folding in on the present. I'm scared, I admitted. Of what? Of what this makes us. He looked up. It makes us honest. I laughed softly. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Later that night, I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the same photograph Adam had held. Me, at 21. Back when I still smiled like I believed in things. Roger had taken it. I hadn't smiled like that in years. Until now. Because Adam, my son, my mirror, my ghost of love returned, had brought that girl back. And I didn't know what to do with her. I began waking earlier. Not because of anxiety, or obligation, but from something else, lighter, quieter. Like my body had stopped bracing for something that was never going to come. Liam was gone. The tension he brought with him, like a shadow trailing behind every word, had lifted. For the first time in years, I didn't feel watched. Except by Adam. I would catch his gaze in the quiet moments, over breakfast, while folding laundry, while sipping coffee on the back porch, and there would be no hurry to look away. Just a stillness. A knowing. It should have scared me. Maybe it did. But it also filled me with a warmth I'd forgotten how to name. One afternoon, as sunlight poured through the tall windows in the living room, I told him everything. About Roger. About how he'd looked at me when I was 18, as if I was the answer to every question he hadn't yet asked. About the summer he left without saying goodbye, and how I had waited on the porch for 3 days, convinced he'd come back. About the version of myself I buried the moment he didn't. I didn't love Liam, I said softly. I married him because he felt safe. Because I couldn't survive that kind of heartbreak again. Adam listened, motionless, his fingers wrapped around a mug of tea that had long since gone cold. When I finished, he said, I wish I could have found him. Just once. To ask him why he left. You wouldn't have liked the answer, I said, managing a brittle smile. Or worse, he might not have had one. Adam leaned forward. I would never do that to you. I looked at him, really looked, and in that moment, I believed him. He reached for my hand, and I didn't pull away. I don't know how to explain it, he said. But ever since I was a kid, I felt drawn to you. It was more than just needing you as a mother. It was like I belonged with you, in a way that had nothing to do with childhood. I should have corrected him. But I didn't. Because the truth was, I felt it too. That invisible thread between us, stitched not just with biology, but with something else. Something older than both of us. Something that made the word love feel too small. I can't live like this, I whispered. Not in the open. Not with people watching. Adam stood, stepping closer. Then we won't. But you're not alone in this. Not ever. He kissed my temple, and I leaned into it like I was trying to memorize the warmth. The days that followed felt suspended in honey. Slow. Sweet. Surreal. We didn't speak of it again, not directly. But our lives folded around each other like silk. I made dinner every evening. He set the table, lit candles without asking. We sat close, laughing at memories we hadn't thought of in years. He'd reach for my hand across the table like it was the most natural thing in the world. And it began to feel that way. Natural. I started to forget what I was supposed to feel. Shame didn't come. Guilt stayed distant. What replaced them was something like devotion, quiet, constant, undeniable. One evening, we watched a storm roll in from the patio. Thunder curled through the clouds like a promise. Rain danced on the deck. Adam turned to me, voice low. "Do you ever think, maybe this was always meant to happen?" I didn't answer. Because I was afraid the truth might break us. But I knew what he meant. That Roger's absence, Liam's coldness, every empty space in my life, it had all led here. To this moment. To this boy who looked so much like the one I had lost. Only now, I wasn't 18. I wasn't naive. And Adam wasn't Roger. He was something more. Something I had helped create. Something that belonged to me in every possible way. Later, after the storm had passed and the power flickered back to life, we lit candles anyway. The house was golden and soft. And as we sat together on the sofa, his head resting on my shoulder, I realized something I hadn't dared admit before. I didn't want to go back. Not to who I had been. Not to the coldness. Not to the silence. This, whatever this was, felt like the truth I had been avoiding my whole life. And I wasn't ready to give it up. I used to believe love was a door you closed once and never reopened. I told myself that story for years, through the sleepless nights of early motherhood, through a marriage that was more transaction than union, through the echoing silence that followed every dinner with Liam. Love was a myth. A threat. Something I had touched once and had scorched me to the bone. But now I was beginning to see it differently. Love wasn't a flame. It was gravity. And Adam had been pulling me into his orbit from the day he was born. I began noticing the small things. The way he moved through the house like he belonged to it, belonged to me, not in the way sons belong to mothers, but in a deeper, more ancient way. As if we had always been searching for each other, through lifetimes, through roles, through walls. And we had finally found the shape that fit. On a quiet Thursday morning, I watched him from across the table. He was eating toast, flipping through a book of poetry I'd once loved and then forgotten. He looked up at me and smiled, small, private, the kind that felt like it was only for me. "I've been thinking," he said, pushing his plate aside. "Dangerous," I teased. He smirked. "I want to buy that cabin up north. The one we stayed at years ago. Remember?" I did. A pine-framed cottage on a lake, tucked away from the noise of everything. We'd spent one long weekend there when he was 15. It was the first time I'd seen him smile without reservation. "Why that place?" I asked. "Because it was quiet. Because we were happy there." I swallowed the lump rising in my throat. "You want to live there?" "I want us to live there." The world stilled. He didn't say it like a fantasy. He said it like a plan. "Adam," I began, but my voice cracked. "You're going to tell me it's impossible," he said, gently. "That it's wrong. But nothing about this has ever felt wrong. And I don't want to keep pretending." His words echoed through me. They were bold, yes, but more than that, they were clear. There was no hesitance in him. No shame. Just love, stripped bare. I looked down at my hands. You deserve someone who can give you the kind of life. I don't want that kind of life, he interrupted. I want you. Just you. For as long as I'm allowed to. I closed my eyes. And there, in the stillness behind my eyelids, I saw it. A life where we didn't have to explain. A place where our laughter didn't echo back with judgment. A quiet home by a lake. Books. Firelight. Coffee shared in silence. I opened my eyes. What happens when people ask questions? He smiled, soft and sure. Then we tell them the only truth that matters. That we take care of each other. And I realized something, then. That the world didn't need to understand. Only we did. We went to the lake house 2 weeks later. Just to look, I told myself. Just to remember. But when we stepped inside, it was like walking into a memory that hadn't happened yet. The floorboards creaked like they recognized our steps. The scent of pine and wood smoke wrapped around us. Adam stood behind me, his hands brushing mine. Feels like home, doesn't it? I nodded. We bought it the next month. And though we didn't move in right away, something shifted in us. A quiet promise. A decision, made not with fanfare, but with every cup of coffee poured, every gaze that lingered a beat too long. I stopped waiting for the world to collapse. Instead, I watched it open. One evening, as we unpacked boxes at the lake house, I found an old photograph, me at 18, leaning against a fence, Roger beside me. I held it for a long time. Then I set it down, face down, and looked at Adam, who was watching me from across the room. I've let him go, I said. Adam walked over and took my hands. He brought you to me. And I believed him. That night, we stood on the porch, wrapped in a single blanket, the lake stretched before us like a silver dream. The stars were so bright, it felt like the universe had been holding its breath for this very moment. Adam kissed my forehead. I leaned into him. And in that quiet, impossible space between yesterday and tomorrow, I let love back in. This time, I wasn't afraid. This time, it was forever.
Bye.